Hello, we're Bonnie and Greg Dixon with Storyvan TV, and today we're here with Jac Jarrard. And maybe you can introduce yourself a little bit, Jac.
Sure. Well, hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you're having a good week so far. So, I'm Zach. I'm the owner of Jarrard Consulting LLC, and we offer fun, action packed, outcome based team building activities using games. And then we also offer project management services. So, we could come in, help manage a project for your organization. We could help with prioritization or with doing project management training. So, looking at how project management, agile methods could help you be more effective and awesome at the stuff you do. Outside of all that, I'm a digital nomad. So I've met people from all over the world playing video games. I've spent over 20 years playing a lot of different games, and I just like to have a lot of fun. And I'm really honored to be here today.
Thanks for coming
Yeah.
on, Zach. We're curious because Greg plays games with the kids, with the grandkids, but how do just say big kids get to play?
Well, I think it's the same dynamic because I think people have played games throughout all of time. And like if you go back to the prehistoric era, you had prehistoric humans that would get bones and they would stack them. So that formed what we know today as dominoes. And then as time progressed in India, but also in Europe, kings and queens would play chess. And so we have chess, and people still play that today. I've even played it at scout camp. And then today we have zombies, we have Roblox. So we have all these digital games, and you can access them from anywhere, from a tablet, from a phone, from a computer, from a console, from an RV if you're traveling.
This is true. So, when you're helping a business, what's some of the process that you use to help a company with gaming with their company in a positive and productive way?
Well, I think that's a great question. And there's been a lot of research about fun and play at the workplace. And it's found that when employees have fun at work, they're more likely to be productive while they're there. They're excited and then they'll stay. And I think that's really important today since we're living through the great resignation where millions of people are leaving their jobs, workplaces are restructuring or shuffling around. And I think that stuff's really important. And with my company, we always start with the needs assessment. So better understanding the organization that wants to work with us and then finding ways that we could help them. And I think one big point to make about games is that they're a tool. And I think people forget that. They assume that when you have games, it's just all fun and play, but it's a tool you use intentionally to achieve a certain outcome. And, having fun is the mechanic to achieve that.
Mm. Can you share with us, incognito, maybe a game that you created for a company that's was interesting to you? And
Well, that's a great question. So for my company right now, we use existing commercial games. So one of the games we specialize in is Minecraft, and I can give one example of an activity I did. So a while ago, I had a group of my associates from the Kansas City area. They had been stuck at home since the pandemic. They wanted to reconnect, and so they came to me, and I put an activity together for them and the goals we had. So they wanted to reconnect, build a city together, and have some fun. And so we had a mix of presentation, some interactive discussion, and then, of course, playing Minecraft. And we got into Minecraft server together, and everybody got to build their house in the game. And then we just kind of went from there. They built a city hall. One person was really passionate about trains, so they built a train station. We had a food pantry. We had a flower shop. There's even like a big area fenced off for animals so they could have a place of their own too. And everybody had a blast and they achieved the goals they had. They got to reconnect with each other. They got to build a city together. And then they also learned a ton of skills. And I think that's a big part of playing games is the skill development and the unintentional skill development. Because when you're playing games, you're trying to, get the high score or slay a dragon, and you put in all this work to do that, and you're willing to fail fast. You're willing to keep persisting to achieve that goal. And as you're doing that, people don't realize that you're learning skills from that. And A couple skills to highlight from the activity I mentioned that the participants learned include communication, teamwork, creativity, analytical thinking, and then so much more. And so I think the possibilities with these kind of activities are endless.
That is fascinating. I kind of wish they would have teach that way in school, regular school.
Yep.
So we were my son is a mathematician, topology, PhD, and we were he went to school to McGill, and we were visiting, and we were sitting over at dinner, and Bonnie asked, says, what was the intrigue with math? And Cale leans over and says, it's an infinite set of puzzles, right? And Bonnie says, geez, I wish somebody had told me that. I might have liked math a lot earlier. And
yeah. So I could see where the games, so much of when I grew up a long, long time ago, learning was memorize this or do this or do this. The creativity wasn't there. So in your experience with a company that you might be working with, it sounds like it's a benefit not only to the employee, but to the employer, because now you've got a group of people who are excited to do a project or work together, and it might create more camaraderie, or does it create rivalry too?
Well, I think it could kind of create both in a way, but I think since it's fun, like if you have people put on teams and competing against each other, for the games that I use, so like Minecraft, for instance, it's a healthy competition. And I think you bring up a good point. I think for the employer, these activities show that they're willing to invest in their employees, invest in their skill development, and then recognize the benefits from fun in the workplace. And then for the employee, it's that skill development, connecting with their associates, and then having some fun. And to be frank, when I've talked to people about this, some people are like, oh, well, using games at the workplace, it doesn't really have a benefit. And I'll give a quick example. So one of the big companies in my area is Cerner. So they're a global healthcare company, and they have associates that would travel the world before the pandemic. And so one problem they would have is that their associates would have rewards cards. And so the company would spend all this time pre-negotiating travel routes, so airline and hotel agreements to try to save money. And instead, employees would use their rewards card because they wanted to get those points for that free flight or free hotel stay. And so that ended up costing the company money. And so the CIO and his team, they put together a game. So they spent $10,000 on a pilot where employees would go, they'd put in their travel information, and if they complied with the travel policy, they would get a digital badge. And when they showed the picture of the badge, it literally looked like a star from like Super Mario or some game like that. And so they invested about $10,000 in this pilot. And in 1 year, they saved over $2.1 million off their bottom line.
Oh my gosh.
Compliance soar because people wanted that digital badge. They want to have that star. And so, like, it might not seem like it with games, but they're a real tool. And if you use them the right way, you can motivate and engage people to achieve the employer's goals, but then also the employees' goals, and then have some fun along the way.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
And really, every company, it sounds like, could use a service like this. What is the average size company maybe that you work with again?
So I mostly work with small and medium-sized companies. I'm open to working with larger companies, and then I've been branching out lately to work in the K-12 space. So a lot of our conversation up to this point has been about companies like B2B type interactions, but kids could also benefit too from gaming activities, and I have experience with that too. So in the K-12 space, I'm opening up to private schools, homeschooling organizations, charter schools, and then nonprofit organizations.
That is fascinating. So what I just heard you say is not only can a company save money they will energize their employees. And that also, I was just thinking, nonprofits, kids, if they learn these skills early, it will help them through their whole career.
Right. And I think not just that, but whether we realize it or not, we need that skill development today, because as fast as our world is changing, we need a workforce that has a broad range of skills, and games are a unique tool to achieve that.
Yeah.
Wow, this is just fascinating. You got some more questions for Zac here?
Well, I have a story from my past. I worked for a large consulting company, IT consulting company, had offices all over the world. And a friend and I were out for lunch, and we noticed that there was a wind on the pond. There's a little fountain in front of the building. And we decided that it would be good for a boat race. So our team challenged another development team to have a boat race. And we had I met with the other project manager, and we talked about the rules, and we come up with the absurd Nautical Standards Institution rules. Basically, we could build the boat out of anything except a boat that we can find in the office. Anyway, so we have all these high priced consultants out playing with boats in the pond, out in the fountain, right?
It's the fountain.
Yeah, and then I was reluctant to let the administrators know about this, because we thought it'd be frowned on. And anyway, they were annoyed that they weren't invited, so they came out the next time. And then there was a building across the way that wanted to join in, but the last time somebody's boat sank and it clogged up the pool, and they drained the whole fountain. So we thought we'd lie low for sailing boats in the fountain for a while. But it was just the company actually did a lot of, there was a recreation committee, and it did a lot. But what you're doing with the games is really, it's engaging and entertaining and getting people involved. And I also know from my two sons who are in their 30s now, they're just really much into strategy games, and I think they learn so much about it, being prepared and working out all the options and the probabilities and all the things, and we have no chance winning against them.
Well, that's too bad.
Unless there's a fluke factor, and there are a few things I do okay with, but if it's just pure strategy, they have it. Well, they sit down there and they engineer it and they figure out all the things on their own, and by the time we get around to doing it, we're behind.
Right. Well, and to build on your story, you bring up interesting points. So, to give an example, as a part of my prior work, I had the chance to go to Fort Leavenworth, which is in Leavenworth, Kansas, and I got the chance to meet some people that are in the military that design military simulations. And what they told me is, in the past, the military would do these big exercises. So they get all their equipment out, all the personnel, run these activities. And occasionally they might have injuries happen or equipment will break, and trying to schedule all this stuff. So it would be a big hassle. And so the military, they invest about $80 million or more a year into these military simulations, where they can use a virtual environment to simulate doing some of these drills. And they use these simulations to prepare combat soldiers to have up to 85% or more of the skills they need to be combat ready. And to kind of build on that point, I think what makes games unique today is the fact that they're scalable. So with technology, you can scale that game experience across a whole organization or even across the world. And that's what we see today with commercial games. You have people from all over the world being able to connect in this shared environment. And that's why when we're on some of these HMP calls, I like to call myself a digital nomad, because I do feel like I've, traveled all over the place, even though I've been at home, and I've been able to meet people from all 50 states and over 15 to 20 different countries just from being at home playing on my Xbox.
That's amazing. Well, you certainly have a unique and wonderful service to offer companies, and I could see how it could help so many people. Again, not only now when they learn the skills, but all the future that they're working, it would recalibrate the brain to make sure that they can figure things out, and use that brain. And
Yeah, I think you're totally right. And, like we've been talking about companies, but also for kids too. And
mhm,
I've ran kids camps successfully. And just to give one example, I put together a Minecraft camp, and we just sent out an email about it, and it sold out with no advertising. I had to turn people away, sadly, because we had limited number of people we could bring in. But
mhm,
I put some activities together. So big kids that were 6 to 15, and they
mhm,
got to learn about citizenship. They got to
mhm.
learn some history about the Oregon Trail, and they
Wow.
got to build cities together. And so we put them in age appropriate groups and
Mhm,
just walked them through those activities. And
mhm.
it was really fun to watch. I remember watching some of the groups in the Oregon Trail, and honestly, it made me a little nervous. Like one of them, they had one person just grab all the stuff. And then along the way, so as you're going along the Oregon Trail, so it starts in Independence, Missouri, which is actually really close to where I live.
Yeah.
And it ends in Oregon. And
Yeah.
so you're in this Minecraft map, and you're going through these scenarios as you're traveling on the trail. Like one scenario is you have a person and their wagon wheel breaks. And so you have to stop and fix it. And I saw one group that did not stop and fix it. And I was like, you have to fix it, because it's trying to teach them empathy and caring for other
Mhm,
people. And that's one example of an activity they did. They
mhm,
also built cities together, and it was
mhm.
interesting to see the different age groups and what they thought was important based
Mhm.
on how they designed their city. So like the oldest group, I'm not sure why they did this, but when they presented their city, they actually decided to blow up a building. I think it was like a bank or something, but they had like a little downtown. I think they had like a Buffalo Wild Wings in it and some other restaurants and residential area. But then the second group, so I think they were like 10 to 11 ish, they put a McDonald's in the center of their town, and they pointed out the not only was it a McDonald's, but it was a McDonald's with a clean bathroom. And then they had houses around it, and there was a little spot where there was a river. So there's a break between the mainland and then the city. And so they said that there was an asteroid that hit that part of the town, and that created the opening for the river. And then the youngest group, they showed us a zoo. So they had different sections of the zoo where they had like turtles and polar bears and all these different animals. And from doing this activity, we saw all these kids get engaged, have fun. But not only that, it empowered young girls and minorities to take leadership roles too, which we saw
Yeah.
throughout the
Mhm,
activity. And that brings me to another point about Minecraft, that it is digital Legos, but there are organizations using it across the world. So one organization is called the Block by Block Foundation, and it's a partnership between Mojang, so the Minecraft game developer, and then UN Habitat. And since 2012, they have run Minecraft workshops with kids and communities across the world to help them use Minecraft to reimagine public spaces. So, like in the
mhm,
city of Mumbai, about 4 years ago, they brought a group of kids together and they reimagined an outdoor space there. In the city of Anaheim in 2017, they also brought a group of kids together. I think it was predominantly Hispanic kids in that community,
mhm,
and they got to redesign a portion of, I believe it's called the Anna River Park, and the
mhm,
city actually built it in 2019. So those are two examples of areas, but also Kosovo. So over in Eastern Europe, and then Johannesburg and South Africa. Those are just a couple places, but they have these projects going on all over the world, and that's with kids. So imagine what we could do as adults if we had adults involved with that too, and with the
mhm.
game.
So it's real life. It's
Yeah.
real life. You're on the computer, but then it goes to real life, making a difference. Making a
Yes.
difference. Yeah. Now you are offering a free chapter, from what I understand, from your book.
Well, so I co-authored a book chapter that came out about a year ago, and you can actually look it up online. I believe the first couple pages are free or so, but I talk about and with my co-author, our experience with higher education, Minecraft, and then using games in the classroom. And definitely check it out. We put a lot of work into it, and yeah, it's out there. So if there's any way I could help anyone out listening, definitely check it out.
Yeah, we'll post the link later.
Mm-hmm.
And then if people want to get a hold of you, it's jarrardconsulting.net.
Yep, I think it's playing down below, so you can
there we go.
And then
go there. I'm on LinkedIn, pretty active on there. And yeah, I mean, I'd love to connect with anyone. If there's any way I could help you out, just let me know. More than happy to connect.
So if people go to jarrardconsulting.net,
Yep.
they can also find out about your programs.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, we so thank you for coming on the Storyvan TV.
Yeah.
And we look forward to hearing about more adventures down the line. And if anyone knows someone that could use Jarrard's services or Zac's services, this one sounds like a real winner.
Yeah, a lot of fun and a lot of really good results from this.
Yes. A positive way to have fun.
Who knew?
Who knew?
Anyway, that's great. Anyway, so we're going to play our little video out of here again, and then and talk to you very soon.